Let's talk about how mergers and acquisitions, or corporate actions in general, can be classified by industry sector. So, classification of M&A by industry sector. So I've got a few videos on this, and in this video we'll focus on something called horizontal mergers. So horizontal mergers, which is a particular type of classification. And when I say mergers, I just mean in general M&A and corporate actions. So I've drawn a diagram here, and it represents these kind of orange lines divide up different industry sectors, and the blue boxes represent companies. The yellow arrows represent which companies are supplying which other companies. So for example, this company here is a supplier of this company, and this company over here is being supplied by this company here and this company here. And it's also supplying this company. So in a way, this kind of represents the supply chain in two different industries. So for example, this could be the oil and gas industry. And maybe this is consumer products or something like that. Consumer discretionary, consumer staple products or something. So let's see, for an example, this might be an oil production company, oil production. And then this company might be an oil refinery. They take the crude oil produced in the oil production, and then they split it up into, or they do chemical processes that split it up into different oils. I think cracking is one of the processes they might use, and cleansing with sulfuric acid. And then let's say this is a oil distributor. Oil distributor. And then let's say this is just a shop that sells oil products. Shop. And this distributor sells to this shop. Okay, so hopefully you understand the diagram. So let's talk about horizontal mergers. I've drawn the diagram this way, or this orientation, so that I could kind of go with the convention of this terminology. So a horizontal merger, I'll draw it on using horizontal arrows. That's a horizontal merger there. But critically, it's same industry sector. Same industry sector and same, let's say, supply chain, SC for supply chain level. So two companies that compete doing the same thing. So it might be two shops selling oil and gas, or it could be two oil refineries. But in this case, we're in the consumer products sector. So it might be two stores that are maybe selling fast-moving consumer goods like Boots the Chemist, and I think there's another chemist called Baird's or something like that. But anyway, so it's two competing companies, and let's say if they were to combine, they form a bigger company doing exactly the same thing as they were doing before. And typically, so an example, let's do an example. So an example would be in 1999, Exxon, the oil and gas corporation, combined with Mobil to produce Exxon Mobil, funny enough. So Exxon Mobil still survives today. It's one of the largest oil companies in the world. But let's see, so the key reasons, or the key reason why horizontal mergers, or what's the motivation, it's really to produce an economy of scale. An economy of scale. And let's talk about a few things, what we mean by that term. So what we really do is we're taking two operations that are doing the same thing, and we produce one larger operation, or we scale one larger scale operation. So I guess that's where the term comes from. The economies part of the term, it comes from the fact that you can consolidate and remove duplicate resources and operations. So for example, if these two companies both have technology, IT and technology departments, maybe the new resulting company will just take the more efficient department and get rid of the other one, reducing costs. So reducing costs across these two companies and making this supply level in the supply chain a little bit more efficient. So let's say remove duplicate operations / processes / resources and cut costs. And of course, cutting costs is very important because it means your profit margins go up, or if you are still competing with other people, you can afford to sell your product at a lower price than them, and you can still be profitable. So you can derive a competitive advantage there. You're also, a direct result of this is you're also going to remove competition, reduce competition. So you're on your way to forming a monopoly. So often deals that are horizontal are highly scrutinized by antitrust regulators. The other thing I wanted to mention was kind of being of a larger scale, you can have increased bargaining power. Increased bargaining power. Let's see what I mean by that. Maybe you're supplying someone and they're buying your product. Maybe it's a B2B product or something like that, a business-to-business product. And because you're larger, you might represent a larger portion of their business. And so they're more likely to give you a discount on their services if you trade with them, because they know they're going to get more business from you. So one example of this was when Standard Oil bought up competing oil refineries, or did essentially horizontal mergers. They were able to negotiate hefty discount with railroad companies, as they were filling around 40% of the carriages in the railroads or on the trains, and that counted for a large portion of their business. So in that way, Standard Oil had a lot of bargaining power over the railroads, and they were able to negotiate these discounts, large discounts. Okay, so hopefully that clears up what we mean by horizontal mergers. Critically, they're in the same industry sector and the same supply chain level. So this would be horizontal, that would also be horizontal, but this would not be horizontal because it's crossing industry. And this would not be horizontal, although it's not crossing industry, it's going across two levels in the supply chain. Okay, see you in the next video.